John Carter lived alone on Outpost 7. It was a small human station far from Earth. No friends, no family, only silence and the hum of machines. Every evening he sat with his food ration, the one comfort in his long, empty days that night. He was hungry, more than usual. He opened the storage bay to take out a sealed pack of stew, but something was wrong. The container was already open. A trail of crumbs lay across the floor like tiny footprints. John froze. Someone or something was inside. He reached for the tool at his belt. A heavy spanner. He moved slowly, careful with every step. The sound came again, soft, almost like breathing. He followed it to the corner of the bay, and there he saw her. She was crouched on the floor, thin arms wrapped around his meal. Her hair was tangled, her skin pale with a faint silver glow. Her eyes, large and bright, not human, looked up at him in fear. She was no soldier, no thief with a weapon. She was just a girl, young, starving, trembling. For a long moment neither moved. The spanner shook in John's hand. The alien girl pressed the ration to her chest as if it was the last food in the universe. Her lips parted, a weak sound escaped, more like a whisper than words. "Please," she said. Her voice cracked and broken. John blinked, shocked that she spoke his language at all. His first thought was danger. If Command knew an alien was here, they would arrest him for harboring her. But his second thought was stranger, deeper. Why would an alien risk death just to steal a human meal? He lowered the spanner but kept his eyes sharp. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice rough from disuse. She hugged the ration tighter, shaking her head. Her whole body seemed ready to collapse. John stepped closer and the girl shrank back. He could see now how thin she was, ribs pressing against her skin. Her clothes were torn, burned at the edges. Not the look of a spy, the look of a survivor. Against his better judgment, John sighed. "You're hungry," he said. Not as a question, but as truth. Her eyes filled with water, shining in the dim light. Slowly, she opened the pack and tried to eat. But her hands trembled so much the stew spilled. John cursed under his breath. He knelt down, took the pack from her, and held it steady. "Eat," he ordered, his tone softer now. She obeyed, gulping down each bite like a wild creature. For a moment, the only sound in the bay was her desperate eating. When she finished, she wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. Her eyes never left his face, studying him, testing if he was friend or foe. "Name," John said, tapping his chest. "John," he pointed to her. She hesitated, then whispered, "Lyra, Lyra." The name fit her, fragile, almost like music, but John's mind raced with questions. Where had she come from? How did she get inside a human outpost? And why was she alone? Before he could speak again, the alarm on his console beeped. "Incoming message from Command." John's heart jumped. If they scanned the bay and detected her, it was over. He glanced at Lyra. She understood the danger instantly. She tried to stand, but her legs gave way. John caught her before she hit the floor. Her body was so light it felt like carrying a shadow. He dragged her behind the supply crates. "Quiet," he whispered. The console lit up with the voice of his superior. "Carter, report status. We detected unusual signals near your sector. Anything to declare?" John stared at the blinking light. He could tell the truth and save himself, or lie and protect this strange girl who had stolen his food. He looked down at her, curled against the crate, breathing shallow. Her eyes begged him, no words needed. He turned back to the console. "Nothing unusual, sir," John said firmly. "Just silence and machines, same as always," the voice crackled. "Copy that, Carter. Maintain watch. Command out." The signal ended. John let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He looked back at Lyra. For some reason in that moment, he felt his heart break a little. She was not just a thief. She was a child of war, of loss, of hunger, and now she was his responsibility, whether he wanted it or not. Outside the outpost, the stars burned cold and endless. Inside, a human and an alien sat in silence. Two lives crossing by chance, two destinies bound by a stolen meal, and neither of them knew this was only the beginning. The outpost returned to silence, but John could not rest. Every shadow seemed louder now, every hum of the machines sharper. He sat across from the alien girl, Lyra, watching her carefully. She hugged her knees, eyes wide, as if the floor itself might vanish. Hours passed without a word. Finally, John spoke, his voice low. "You need to tell me why you are here." Lyra's eyes darted to the door, then back to him. She looked like a cornered animal. ready to run though she had no strength. John softened his tone. If command finds you, they will not ask questions, they will take you away. Maybe worse, he leaned closer. But I am asking, Lyra. Tell me your story. For a long time she said nothing, only the soft sound of her breathing. Then in a whisper she began. My home. Gone, she said, struggling for words. They came, metal ships. Fire in the sky. Her voice cracked, her small hands trembled. John could see her reliving it. Who came? He asked, his voice tighter. She shook her head. Hunters, slavers. They take many, they burn the rest. John clenched his jaw. He had heard stories of raiders in this sector, but command called them rumors. Looking at Lyra, he realized they were no rumor at all. How did you get here? He asked. She pressed her palm to her chest. Escape pod. Broken, landed near, no food, no water. Only hunger. Her words were simple, broken, but the truth behind them was clear. She had lost everything. Family, people, world. She had wandered alone until hunger pushed her into his outpost. John felt something heavy stir in his chest. It wasn't pity. It was something deeper. A kind of duty he had never known before. You should have died out there, John muttered. More to himself than to her. But Lyra heard, and her answer was sharp. I tried, she said, her voice raw. John looked at her, startled. There was no lie in her eyes, only pain. She had not come here to fight. She had come because she had nothing left. Silence filled the room again. John leaned back. Running a hand through his hair, he thought of his own life. Empty days, empty nights, no one waiting for him. No one caring if he lived or died, and now here was Lyra, carrying the same emptiness, but heavier. You stole my meal, he said at last. Her face turned down, ashamed. Yes, she whispered. John almost laughed, though it was bitter. You could have asked. She looked up sharply. No one listens to my kind. Her words struck him like a blade. He wanted to argue, to defend his people, but deep down he knew she was right. Humans in command would not have listened. They would have locked her in a cage, and yet she had risked everything just for one stolen meal. John stood and walked to the storage bay. He pulled another pack from the shelf and placed it in front of her. Eat, he said. Her hands shook as she took it, tears gathering in her eyes. This time she ate slowly, carefully, as if afraid the food would vanish. When she finished, she looked stronger. A faint light in her eyes, she whispered again. Thank you. John nodded, though inside his heart was not calm. Command's message still rang in his ears. Unusual signals in this sector. They were looking for her, and if they came again, he would be forced to choose. He studied Lyra in the dim light. She was small, fragile, but there was something strange about her. Her skin glowed faintly, like starlight beneath her skin. Her voice carried a music even in broken words. She was no ordinary refugee. John finally asked, Why you? Why chase you across the stars? Lyra's face darkened. She pulled her knees close and whispered, Because I am the last. The words hung in the air like a blade. The last of what? John demanded. Her eyes shone with tears. The last of my family. The last of my people's bloodline if I die. They all die. John felt his throat tighten. This was not just a girl, not just a thief of food. She was the final echo of a world destroyed. He could hear her voice trembling as she added, They hunt me until no trace remains. I have no place, no home. For a moment John could not speak. His hand tightened around the spanner at his belt, not out of threat, but out of anger. Anger at the unseen monsters who had burned her world. He looked at her again and something inside him shifted. He had spent years alone, thinking his life meant nothing. Now maybe it meant something after all. You're safe here for now, John said, his voice steady. But you must stay hidden, do you understand? Lyra nodded, though her eyes still held fear. John leaned closer. If they come, I will protect you, he said. Surprising even himself with the words, her lips parted. A small sound escaped. Half a sob, half a sigh. For the first time she believed him. The stars outside burned cold. The machines hummed steady, but inside the outpost, a fragile bond had begun, and both of them knew. The real danger had only just begun. The outpost was never meant for two. Its corridors were narrow. Its rooms built only for one lonely guard, but now every shadow, every hum of the machines carried new meaning. John found himself listening not only for intruders, but for her, Lyra. She moved softly, always careful. As if afraid of leaving any trace, she ate in silence, slept in silence. and spoke only when pressed, yet every glance from her bright, alien eyes left John with questions. He had never thought about sharing this place. Not until now. At first, they lived like strangers. John stayed by the console, watching reports from command. Lyra stayed in the corner near the storage bay, curled up like a fragile animal. But slowly, small changes came. One night, John found her tracing patterns in the dust on the floor, strange symbols glowing faintly as her fingers moved. When he stepped closer, the glow faded. "What was that?" he asked. Her answer was soft. "My people's writing. Only memory now." John didn't understand the meaning, but he felt the weight in her words. She carried not only her body, but the memory of a dead world. He wanted to ask more, but he held back. Some wounds did not need salt. Instead, he offered her something else. He took an old tablet from the shelf. It was filled with simple earth images, trees, rivers, oceans. He showed it to her, pointing, saying the words tree, water, sky. Lyra's eyes widened. Her lips repeated the words in broken tones. Tree, water, sky. It was clumsy, but her voice carried wonder. For hours they sat like that. John teaching simple earth words, Lyra repeating, smiling faintly when she managed to shape them. She pointed at herself. Lyra. She pointed at him. John. And then with a small laugh, she pointed at the console and said, "Loud box." John laughed too. A real laugh, the first in months. The sound startled even him. Something fragile but alive was growing in the silence between them. But danger never slept. Each day command sent new signals, rumors of raiders, missing ships, strange energy in nearby space. John felt the pressure building. If they searched his outpost again, Lyra would not survive. He told her to stay hidden. She obeyed, but her eyes always carried fear when the console beeped. One evening as he worked, John heard a soft melody. It wasn't the hum of machines. It wasn't static, it was a voice, her voice. He followed the sound to find Lyra sitting by the viewport. She sang softly in her own language. The song was haunting, filled with sorrow yet glowing with hope. Her skin shimmered faintly, silver light dancing across her arms. John stood frozen, unable to move. The song ended, and she looked up, startled. "You heard," she whispered, ashamed. "It was beautiful," John said. His voice rough. She shook her head. "It is. Forbidden now, my people gone, no one left to hear." But John stepped closer. "I heard and I will remember. That night, something changed. They were no longer just human and alien, guard and stowaway. They were companions in exile, bound by silence, hunger, and now by song." Still, danger crept closer. The next day, a warning flashed on John's console. A patrol ship was scheduled to pass near Outpost 7. Inspection possible. His heart sank. If they boarded, Lyra was finished. He paced the room, fists tight. Lyra watched him, her voice calm though her hands trembled. "You should give me," she whispered. "Give me to them, save yourself." John spun on her, eyes burning. "Never," he said, louder than he meant to. Lyra flinched, but he stepped closer, his voice steady. "You are not cargo to trade. You are not a problem to throw away. You are alive, Lyra, and I will not hand you over." Her eyes filled with tears. For a long time she said nothing. Then slowly she reached out. Her fingers touched his arm, light as starlight. It was the first time she had touched him. "Why?" she whispered. John's throat tightened. "Because someone has to stand for you," he said, "and right now, that someone is me." The bond was sealed in silence, a human, tired of orders and loneliness. An alien, last of her kind, hunted and broken. Together, they found a fragile hope inside a steel outpost. But as the patrol ship drew nearer, both of them knew their bond would be tested in fire. The warning came at dawn cycle, a sharp alarm on John's console, piercing the quiet of the outpost. "Patrol ship inbound, ETA 15 minutes. John's stomach dropped, his hands went cold. He turned, and Lyra was already standing, her silver-lit eyes wide with fear. "They come for me," she whispered. John shook his head, though doubt filled his heart. "Routine check," he muttered, though even he didn't believe it. "They scan every bay, every corridor, every life sign," Lyra said, her voice trembling. She pressed her hand to the wall as if she could vanish into it. John moved fast, his mind racing. He pulled her toward the storage bay. "You hide here," he ordered. Shoving aside crates, behind them was a narrow gap, cold and dark. "Stay still, stay quiet, no matter what." Her small hand caught his wrist. "You risk your life," she said. John pulled free, his jaw tight. I already chose, he said. Now go. The sound of thrusters rumbled outside. Shaking the walls, lights flickered as the patrol ship docked. John wiped the sweat from his palms and straightened. The door hissed open, and 3 armored figures stepped inside. Their helmets reflected the harsh lights, voices cold through speakers. Outpost 7. Inspection protocol, the leader barked. John forced a steady nod. Of course, Commander. All systems normal here. They spread out without waiting, scanning walls and crates. Their devices beeped as they moved, searching for heat, movement, life. John's heart pounded like a drum. Every second felt like a blade pressed to his throat. He tried to keep them busy, pointing to systems, explaining reports. But one soldier moved closer to the storage bay, closer to where Lyra hid. The soldier's scanner beeped. Unusual trace, the voice came. Sharp, John's blood froze. What kind of trace? The leader asked. The soldier turned, visor glowing. Organic. Faint, but not human. The world seemed to stop. John's hand twitched toward the spanner at his belt. But before he could act, the lights flickered again. A sudden surge of static filled the air. The scanner squealed. Readings scrambled, the soldiers cursed. Hitting their devices, John realized in a flash it was Lyra. She was doing something, hiding herself with that strange glow inside her. Her body was cloaked in some energy. But he saw the cost from the corner of his eye. A faint shimmer of silver light leaked through the cracks. She was burning herself to stay hidden. Faulty equipment, John said quickly, stepping between the soldiers in the bay. These old stations mess with signals. Happens all the time. The leader's visor tilted. Suspicious. You sure about that, Carter? John forced a grin. Check the logs if you want. Same error last month, the soldiers muttered. Frustrated, finally, the leader waved them off. Fine. Keep your station clean, Carter. Command doesn't like surprises. They turned back toward the hatch. Boots heavy on steel, John followed. Heart racing at the door, the leader paused. You're alone here, right? John's mouth went dry. He forced his voice steady. Always have been. Always will be. The soldier studied him a moment longer, then left. The hatch sealed, engines roared, and the patrol ship lifted away. Silence returned. John ran to the bay. He shoved aside crates and found her crumpled in the dark. Her body glowed faintly, too faint. Her breathing was shallow, her face pale. Lyra, he whispered, pulling her into the light. Her eyes fluttered open, weak but alive. You lied, she said, her voice thin. You saved me. John held her steady. You saved yourself, he said. She shook her head. No, I cannot hold the cloak long. It burns me. Her body trembled in his arms. He carried her to the small bunk, laying her down gently. She looked at him with eyes full of pain and gratitude. Why protect me, John? You could give me, be safe. His answer came without thought. Because safe means nothing if it means losing you. For a long moment she stared at him as if seeing him new. Then she closed her eyes, whispering, My people said, humans were cruel, but you are different. John sat beside her. His chest heavy, he thought of the soldiers. Their scanners, their suspicion. This would not be the last inspection. Sooner or later, they would come again, and harder. He clenched his fists. If he wanted to keep her alive, he would need a plan. Outside, the stars burned cold. Inside, John watched over Lyra as she slept. Her faint silver glow lit the dark like a fragile lantern, and he swore to himself. No one would take her, not while he breathed. But in the silence of the outpost, one truth echoed clear. The threat had only just begun. The outpost was quiet again. But John felt no peace. The patrol ship had left. Yet the echo of their boots still haunted his ears. He sat by the console, pretending to read system reports. But his eyes kept drifting to her, Lyra, lying weak on the bunk. Her silver glow faint like a dying flame. She had burned herself to stay hidden. Her power had saved them both, but it had nearly killed her. John felt guilt press heavy in his chest. He should have done more. He should have found another way. But there had been no time, only choice. Hours passed before Lyra stirred. Her eyes opened slowly. Their brightness dimmed. John leaned closer, relief washing over him. You're alive, he whispered. She gave a weak smile. Still here. He wanted to ask about her power, about the strange light. But something in her face told him it was not a small secret. She sat up, weak but steady, and looked at him with strange resolve. You deserve truth, she said softly. No more hiding. John frowned, waiting. Lyra took a long breath, as if the words themselves were heavy. My people. We were not many, but we carried great gift, she began. Energy of stars lives in us. We could shape light, cloak, heal, sing to the void. Her voice shook, but her eyes burned with memory. It made us target, she said. Hunters came, slavers came, they wanted our gift. Not us, John's heart clenched. So that was it, her power wasn't magic, it was her birthright. And it was the reason her people were destroyed. He asked quietly, then why chase you still? Why risk so much for one girl? Lyra's face fell. Because I am last, she whispered. The bloodline of my council lives only in me. Knowledge of my kind, our songs, our light, our secrets. All inside me. She pressed her hand to her chest, her glow flickering faintly. If I die, all is gone. No more chance for my people to return. The weight of her confession filled the room like gravity. John stared at her, his mind reeling. This wasn't just a girl hiding in his outpost. She was the last hope of an entire race, the last spark of a burned-out star. He ran a hand over his face, his voice rough. Why tell me this now? Her eyes softened. Because you chose me, John, you risked your life, you lied to your command, and I cannot let you walk blind into this. Her words hit him harder than the patrol's questions. John had lived his life believing he was small, a forgotten soldier on a forgotten outpost, but now in his hands was something larger than he had ever imagined, a secret that could change everything. Silence lingered, broken only by the hum of machines. At last, John said, If command learns this, they'll take you apart piece by piece. Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, they will not let me live. They will study, dissect, erase, until nothing left. John's fist clenched. The thought of it filled him with anger he couldn't explain. Not just because of her, but because of what it meant. The cruelty of the galaxy. The coldness of orders, and how easily he could be one of them. If not for a choice, he looked at her again. So what do we do now? He asked. Lyra's eyes met his, shimmering with determination despite her weakness. You must let me go, she said. I cannot stay. Your people will come again. Stronger. And if they find me here, they destroy you too. John shook his head immediately. No, I'm not letting you walk into their hands. Not while I breathe. Her lips trembled. Her eyes wet. You don't understand, John. They will kill you for this. They kill anyone who hides me. I cannot bring death to you. He leaned closer, his voice steady and fierce. Then we fight or we run. But I will not give you up. The words hung heavy. But true, for the first time, Lyra didn't argue. Instead, a single tear rolled down her glowing cheek. She whispered, You are the first human who saw me. Not tool, not target, just me. John felt his chest tighten. He had been invisible for years, lost in duty, ignored by command, and now here was someone who saw him too. Two broken lives crossing in the void, finding meaning in each other. But the danger was closer than ever. The console beeped again. New orders from command. Patrols increasing. Raider activity reported near Outpost 7. Inspection likely to return. John's blood ran cold. They would not stop until they found her. He turned to Lyra, his voice hard. If they're coming, we need a plan. You can't stay hidden forever, she nodded. Weak but resolute. Then we run, John, far from here. To the dark places where no scanners reach. Her eyes burned with fragile hope. But it means leaving everything you know. Leaving your world behind. John didn't hesitate. My world was empty long before you came, he said. Now at least it has purpose. Lyra's breath caught. Her silver glow brightened for a heartbeat. She reached for his hand, her touch light as starlight. Then we run together, she whispered. And in that moment, both of them knew. The next choice would change not only their lives, but the fate of two species. John had made his choice. The outpost was no longer safe. Every signal from command felt like a blade pressing closer. Every hum of the machine sounded like a countdown. If they stayed, they would both be caught. They had to leave, but leaving meant betrayal. The outpost shuttle was property of command. Locked with codes, tracked by beacons. If he took it, he would no longer be a guard. He would be a fugitive, hunted across the stars. Yet when John looked at Lyra, pale and trembling, her silver glow fading, he knew there was no other path. He began planning in silence, mapping routes through empty space, marking dead zones where scanners failed. He gathered rations, water, old tools. Each movement felt heavier than stone. This outpost had been his prison, his life, his cage. And now he would abandon it all for her. Lyra watched him, quiet at first, then spoke softly. "You are giving up everything." John didn't pause. "I never had anything," he said. "Only orders, only silence. Only steel walls," he looked at her. "You gave me something to fight for." She lowered her eyes. A faint shimmer on her cheeks. For once, she had no answer. The night cycle came, and with it danger. The console beeped. Another patrol nearby. 2 ships this time, closer than before, too close. John's chest tightened. "They're tightening the net," he muttered. "If we wait, they'll catch us." Lyra's hand brushed his arm. "Light but steady. Then we go tonight," she said. Her voice was soft, but her eyes burned with fragile strength. They moved quickly. John hacked the shuttle codes with shaking hands. Bypassing locks, alarms blinked, lights flickered. Every sound felt like thunder in the silence. Finally, the hatch hissed open. The shuttle was small, built for short trips, but it would have to do. He strapped Lyra into a seat. Her body weak, but her gaze sharp. John sat at the controls. His heart hammering. He had flown before, but never as a thief. Never with so much weight on his shoulders. The engines roared to life. The outpost shook. Panels rattling as the shuttle powered up. John glanced at Lyra. "You ready?" She gave the smallest nod. "Ready?" The shuttle lifted, metal groaning as it broke free. Stars spread before them, cold and endless. For a heartbeat, John felt hope. They had escaped. But then the console screamed with warning. 2 patrol ships changing course, moving fast. "They see us," John cursed. "Hold on." Engines burned hot. The shuttle streaked into the void. Behind them, patrol lights blazed, scanners locking on. John's hands flew over controls, weaving through debris fields, diving into shadowed space. The patrols fired, bright lances of energy flashing past. The shuttle shook, alarms blaring. Lyra gripped the seat, her lips moving. Her body began to glow, brighter and brighter. "What are you doing?" John shouted. Her voice was strained. "Cloak." One more time, but only for a breath. The shuttle shimmered, wrapped in faint silver light. The patrol beams passed through empty space. Scanners blinded. For one heartbeat, they were ghosts. But the glow flickered, breaking. Lyra cried out. Clutching her chest, the cloak shattered, leaving them exposed. John's heart burned with fury. He pushed the engines to their limit. The shuttle screamed, metal shaking. The patrols closed in, warning signals flashing. "Power down and surrender," a cold voice barked through comms. "Or be destroyed." John slammed the comm switch, his voice raw. "Not today." He dove the shuttle into an asteroid belt, rocks spinning like giants in the dark. The patrol ships followed, beams slicing stone into dust. Shards struck the hull, alarms howled. John's knuckles bled as he fought the controls. "Hold together, hold," he muttered. A massive rock loomed ahead. John twisted the shuttle hard, scraping past its edge. One patrol clipped the asteroid, spinning out in sparks. The second stayed on them, relentless. Lyra's glow flickered again, her voice weak. "I can hide us." "One more time," John shook his head. "No!" "You'll kill yourself." Her eyes locked on his, steady despite her pain. "If we don't, we both die." She raised her trembling hands, light spilling between her fingers. The shuttle shimmered again. Faint, broken. The patrol beam sliced wide. Missing them, John seized the chance. Diving into a cavern carved into an asteroid's heart, darkness swallowed them. The patrol ship flew past, scanning empty space. For a long moment, silence. Only the hiss of broken systems and the shallow sound of breathing. John turned to Lyra. She had collapsed, her glow nearly gone. He unbuckled and caught her in his arms. Her body was burning hot, trembling. "Stay with me, Lyra," he whispered. Her lips moved faintly. "I said, we run together." John held her close. They had escaped, for now. But command would never stop. The hunters would never stop. And he knew this was only the beginning of a war he had never asked for. Yet as he looked at the girl in his arms, he knew one thing clear. He would fight that war. He would burn the stars themselves. Because saving her was worth it. The shuttle drifted in darkness. Hidden inside the hollow of an asteroid, sparks hissed from broken panels. Smoke curled in the cabin. John sat at the controls, his hands trembling, his breath heavy. Beside him, Lyra lay weak, her glow faint, her skin pale. He had flown through death and fire, but it was not over. Outside, the stars burned, and somewhere beyond the rocks. The hunters searched. John knew they would not stop. Not until she was found, and if they found her, they would take her apart until nothing remained. He pressed a hand against his forehead. "What now?" he whispered to himself. The console blinked weakly. Half its systems offline. Fuel was low, shields broken, weapons useless. They had no chance in open space, but running forever was not a plan. It was only delay. Lyra stirred, her eyes fluttering open. "You saved me again," she whispered. Her voice fragile. John shook his head. "No, you saved us. Without you, we'd already be dead." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then we save each other." John stared at her, his chest tight. He had been nothing for so long. A forgotten guard at a forgotten post. Now somehow, he had become the shield of the last of her kind, and yet he felt the weight of it crushing him. If he failed, it would not only be her life lost, it would be the death of an entire people. The silence broke with a sharp alarm. Sensors picked up a ship larger than the patrols, moving toward the belt, a hunter vessel, its engines burning cold and cruel. John's hands clenched. "They found us," he muttered. Lyra sat up, weak but alert. "This is end," she said, calm as starlight. "They will not stop until I am gone." John turned to her sharply. "No, not the end, not while I breathe." But she shook her head. "You cannot fight them alone, John. You will die for me, and they will still take me." Her words cut deep, but John's eyes burned with fire. "I would rather die fighting than live watching them take you." For a long moment, they stared at each other. The hunter ship loomed closer, its scanners sweeping the belt. Time was running out. Lyra reached for his hand, her fingers trembling. "There is one way," she whispered. "I can release all the light inside me, a burst strong enough to blind their ship, break their systems, but—" Her voice faltered. "It will burn me, John. It will end me." John's heart stopped. He shook his head violently. "No, I won't let you. There has to be another way." But she looked at him with steady eyes. "If I do not, they catch us, and then I am lost forever, not just me, but everything my people left." He felt the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders. To lose her meant losing the last spark of a fallen world. To let her burn herself meant saving that world. But losing her, it was a choice with no mercy. His voice cracked. "Lyra, you told me we run together. You can't leave me now." Her tears glimmered in the faint glow of her skin. "I said that because you gave me hope, John. But sometimes hope asks for sacrifice." She squeezed his hand, her lips trembling. "You must decide, save me and risk all, or let me burn and save my people's memory." John closed his eyes, his breath shaking. He thought of Earth, of orders, of silence. He thought of nights alone, believing he was nothing. Then he thought of her, stealing his meal with trembling hands. He thought of her laughter when she said loud box. He thought of her song, haunting and beautiful. And he knew his answer. His eyes snapped open. Fierce and alive. "No," he said. "We find another way. We fight, but I will not let you die." "Not like this," she gasped, shocked by his defiance. "But John," he cut her off, his voice steel. "They may take me, they may burn me, but they will never take you, not while I stand. I will fight them with bare hands if I must. Because you are more than memory, you are alive, and that matters more than all the stars." Her tears fell, but her smile glowed through them. In that moment, she believed him. Outside, the hunter ship closed in, weapons charging inside the shuttle. One human and one alien prepared for their stand. John strapped himself back to the controls, his jaw tight. "Hold on, Lyra," he said. She nodded, placing her trembling hand on his arm. "Together," she whispered. Engines roared. The shuttle shot from the asteroid's shadow. Hunter cannons blazed, light filling the void. John dove and twisted, the shuttle screaming in protest. They were outmatched, hopeless, yet his hands never faltered. Every move was for her, every risk for her life. The hunters pressed closer, but John's voice was steady. "Let them come," he muttered. "They will learn what it means when a human fights for more than orders." The stars burned. The void thundered, and in that storm of fire and fear, one truth shone clear. John had made his decision. He would not surrender. He would not trade her life for memory. He would fight because this time, humanity was not alone. This time, humanity stood for her.